This is such a great show for you folks to be in attendance. If you ever go out with somebody on a first date or something and you don't really know too much about the person and you want to find out if he or she has a good sense of humor, one quick, easy way. If they like Bob and Ray, they're okay. Bob and Ray are here tonight. Thank you, Paul. Good morning and welcome back to the show. Of course, it should have been jokeless, no, it should have been lifeless joke bag. We'll figure that out and mail it to you at your own homes. In the last 10 or 12 years, there's been a lot of talk about improvisational comedy and improv groups and so on and so forth. My first guests have been doing improvisational comedy for 35 years. They're the best at it. Bob and Ray, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here. Let me see. Bob, Elliott,
right.
Ray Goulding.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much. Should it have been lifeless joke bag or jokeless life bag?
Jokeless life bag.
Jokeless life bag.
Lifeless joke bag.
Yeah, okay. I know I'm so accustomed to seeing you guys together. Do you actually hang around once you're done with a show? Do you go out together and get rowdy in bars and stuff?
No, we haven't done that for years. No, I go home and he goes home. No, we're together all day, so people figure you should be together all night, too, but...
It don't work that way.
Plus, we don't have a show right now, so there's no place to go out after we do the show.
Yeah, there being no show. You're in a motion picture now with Al Pacino?
Yeah, well, yes, we're with him in a few scenes. It's a small part.
Yeah. What is it? Is it a comedy?
It's important to the movie.
I don't know what it is. I haven't... I just know what we've done. I haven't seen the rest of the movie. But it probably is a comedy, but I don't know. Al Pacino, does he do comedy?
You guys will just go out on anything. You don't look into it ahead of time, huh?
I'm waiting to see the movie. I'm dying to see it myself.
I remember seeing you gentlemen. Dick Cavett had a daytime television show, and he was doing something during the Republican convention from Miami. Right. And there was a name of a candidate, Prescott Lally.
That's right.
Yes.
Is this, now was that a real guy or just an odd name, or it's a name that has stuck with me lo these many years?
No, it was a fictitious name, but we always managed to come up with some of these great names that stick with people.
Yeah, and
it's a lot like you. I notice you do too. Our names are names that could be real people.
Yeah.
They're not too contrived. Prescott Lally. I mean, how many of those? You've known a lot of those.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fine old name in this country.
Sure is.
Yeah. The other thing was, tell us about the origin of Wally Ballou. Now,
well, that's another thing. Now, Wally Ballou, I don't think we've ever been in any city where there hasn't been a Wally Ballou who's come up to us and introduced himself.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are plenty of Wally Balloos out there.
And a lot of them in newsrooms.
Yeah. But he was a radio reporter, and he was always upcutting himself or being upcut.
Well, he did. I made a lot of enemies of radio engineers in the early 50s around on the network. Lee Ballou speaking.
Mm-hmm. But now that's such an inside reference, and it was very hip. Still very hip. Explain what that is exactly.
Well, it was when, as an announcer, you used to give the engineer a cue for the microphone. Mm-hmm. And if he didn't get it on quick enough, you'd come on, Lee Ballou speaking, and give him a dirty look.
Yeah, yeah. You guys have been together for 35 years.
Yeah.
We don't look it, though, do we?
No, you don't. Do you ever have any difficulty finishing one another's sentences, or?
Well, you know, when you've been together for so long, you get thinking on the same wavelength.
Same wavelength.
And sometimes the other fellow will know what you're going to say exactly how.
Yeah, yeah.
So sometimes you think you're in an echo chamber.
What I didn't realize was that you had a very successful Broadway play not long ago. Ran, how long was that?
Well, that was about 10 years ago now. Well, 1971.
71.
71. We ran 6, 7 months on Broadway, then we toured with it for another 6 months. So all told, we were a year with that show.
Yeah, that was quite a successful endeavor.
Yeah.
We are going to break away here and then continue talking with Bob and Ray. Welcome back to the show. Bob and Ray are here. We've talked about your successful run on Broadway, and of course there's the other side of that, a show that is not so successful. You have something about that, I understand.
Well, actually, this has happened lately a couple of times. A new show opened just last night here on Broadway called The Tender T-Bone. And its star was star of radio, television, the band world, stage, screen, Barry Campbell. The play closed last night, too. But this is Barry Campbell, and I want to welcome you here, Barry.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about that title, Tender T-Bone. Is that something out of Shakespeare or what?
No, it's a love story that takes place in the Chicago stockyards. And since the stockyards are closed, it's more or less a period piece now, I guess you could say.
That's right, and I read somewhere you'd been rehearsing 6 or 7 months for last night's opening, is that right?
Since last summer, and then intensive rehearsal since October, yeah.
And it was the first Broadway show in which you attempted to dance.
That's right, yeah.
I say attempted because one of the critics in his review this morning pointed out that you stumbled across the stage much in the manner of a bull in a china shop. I think that was how he expressed it.
He has a great flair for words.
Yeah.
When you say. No, actually what happened was I tripped on a small scatter rug just inside the door of the foyer of my girlfriend's apartment.
This is the girl you play opposite, the love interest.
Well, I'm supposed to win the girl in the play, but she... I don't know, when the play opened, I couldn't go through with any of the love stuff, the kissing or the hugging or anything.
You developed a real dislike for her? Is that right?
I think it was because we were together so much during all those rehearsals.
Probably.
By the time the curtain went up last night, I couldn't stand the sight of her.
That must have thrown the other actors off a little bit, didn't it?
Well, not as much as when I forgot my lines.
I was going to mention that. The same critic a little further on pointed out that you, there was a time, I think, in the second act.
Second act, yeah.
When for some 20 or 30 minutes...
It was 34 minutes.
For some 34 minutes, nobody said a word.
Right.
That really happened?
It happened.
How do you cover up for a thing like that?
Well, there was a prop newspaper there. So I picked it up and I read it.
Well, you were lucky to have that, weren't you? Lucky.
Well, now I thought so until 2 or 3 people got up out of their seats and came right up on the stage and singled me out with great hostility. I was scared there for a minute.
Did the rest of the audience realize that wasn't part of the show?
Oh, I don't know. They were walking up and down the aisles. They were visiting with one another. They were having a nice evening in the theater.
Well, it certainly sounds like one I wish I had caught, Barry. I'm sorry I missed it. I'll be there next time, opening night.
Hope so.
I believe that.
Well, I leave tomorrow now on a cultural exchange tour to Europe. Now we fly to Belgium, then we're down to France here. Then we go over here to Switzerland, down Italy, out here to Yugoslavia, down or over to Turkey. Then we have a cruise through the Greek Isles to Cairo, then down to Johannesburg, and then back up here to White Plains.
Sounds like a great trip, and we'll want to hear about it when you come back.
Well, I had to be back the end of March for an important recording date with my new all-girl orchestra. Now, we use the theremin. That's an electrified stainless steel pole.
I know.
Which you play by placing your hand close to it or removing your hand. The closer your hand is, the higher the note on the scale. Right. And we have these lush dentist office type music arrangements that we think people of this country want more and more.
Thank you very much, Barry Campbell. Sorry, stage screen, back to you.
It's very nice. Sorry to hear about your play, Barry. I tell you what, I think we're going to do, we're going to take a pause here and then come right back, and you have a little something along the political line, I understand you're going to perform for. So, can we do this? Fine? Okay. We'll be right back with more of Bob and Ray. Welcome back to the show. Bob and Ray are here, and dancing is broken out in the audience, ladies and gentlemen. It's an ugly sight. You're lucky you're not here to witness it. You gentlemen, lifelong New York residents, I would...
Seems like it.
Yeah. So
for
far,
last
at any
35
rate, yeah.
years.
And keep a pretty good in touch with the political scene here, I know.
We like to keep in touch with any scene, every scene that's going on. Politics is certainly one of them, and particularly now since our governor, Hugh Carey, has decided not to run again.
Yeah.
And it seems like every other day somebody is throwing his hat in the ring and announcing he's going to try for it. And the most recent gentleman is right here, Mr. G.L. Hummerbeck.
Excuse me. That's Right Honorable G.L. Hummerbeck.
Right Honorable?
Yes.
You're using the official governor title already, are you?
Well, no, that's not it. You see, I'm part Winnebago Indian, and they name their babies after the first thing it sees after it's been born. Now, in my case, that was Right Honorable Charles Evans Hughes, who was the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court at the time.
It's a very interesting story, but what we really want...
You know, I always thought it'd be more interesting if we knew what the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court was doing in our tent on the reservation the day I was born.
Well,
but nobody seems to remember.
No, well, that probably doesn't have much bearing on your throwing your hat in the ring for governor. Anyway, which party's nomination are you hoping to get?
Both. See, I'm going to run on both tickets. I figure most politicians make a mistake by putting all their eggs in one basket. See, no, I'm going to run on both tickets. Figure I can double my chance of victory.
I guess mathematically that's right, but I don't know how you can tailor a platform that'll fit both parties.
Well, I don't talk about most of the issues that these average people talk about, the average candidates. No, do you remember William Jennings Bryan?
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, he ran on the free silver issue. And I thought I'd run on that, you know, dig it up and use it. Nobody's using it, and it sounds good.
I don't know whether you could stir up much sentiment for free silver, particularly after the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market there a couple of years ago. I don't even remember what the issue was in Bryan's time.
I don't know. I know he was nominated after he made a big speech saying he wouldn't be nailed to a cross of gold. I thought I'd use the same thing.
I suppose that statement had a bearing back then, huh?
I guess so. You know, I looked it up at the library before I came over, and you know, he lived up to his campaign promise. He never was nailed to a cross of gold. And I figure I'd do the same thing.
Well, I hate to say this, Mr. Hummerbeck, but I think you kind of come across as a gentleman who doesn't really know what he's talking about. And I think the voters of New York State will be smart enough to see right through you.
Well, I'm used to being kidded a lot. People take me. But I'm going to be out there, and I guarantee you this. That's one campaign promise I'll live up to. I will not be nailed to a cross of gold.
Very nicely put. Thank you, gentlemen. Bob and Ray, folks. We have to pause for station identification. Coming up in the next half hour, a tour of the commissary and Bill Wigman and his dog, Man Ray. Thank you very much. Thank you.